Al Kadosh, Boker Tov, Masechet Nedarim Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara. Yeah, the Gemara says Zot HaMitzvah. When it says the Milah Zot HaMitzvah, this Zot of HaMitzvah, the Zot HaMitzvah Chukim HaMishpatim, this is in Dvarim Vav, which is in Vayetchanan. So he says Yidroch of Hadorech, which is in Yirmiyahu, Chamesh of Pnat Negev Alpayim Bama, and Im of the word of Ki Goel, which is in root, Da'ata Ki Ona Ki Goel Anochi, Halen Ktivam Vela Karyan. So all these things are written, but you don't read them. Okay? Now this is where we stopped, or we're starting for today. Okay? So it says like this. No. So this is where we're starting. In Lamedchet Amud Aleph, this is where we're starting for today. Amar Rav Acha bar Ada, says Rav Acha bar Ada, third line. Okay, everyone has it? Third line. B'ma'arava, in Eretz Yisrael. Paskin le'aden pesuka litlata psukim. They divide the pasuk to three different psukim. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, hine anochi ba'elecha be'a ve'anan. It's like one pasuk. That means Hashem comes and he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm going to come to you in a nanan, in a cloud. Pasuk bet kilu. Ba'avud yishma'am medabrim v'gam b'chaya yaminu lam. That way they should come and they should, right? They should believe you. Okay? Vayaged Moshe divrei amal Hashem. That's the third part, which means something very incredible, right? Because be'emet, here they're dividing it kilu into three different psukim. Okay? Now, this is actually going to be different because if you take a chumash, so there's in Shemot Yud Tet Tet. This is Parashat Yitro, right before the 10 Commandments. Yeah, it comes and it says like this. It says, "Vayomer Hashem Moshe Ini Anochi Ba'alecha Ba'avanam Avu Yishem Yishma'am Medabrim Gam Yechem Lam Vayegem Moshe Divrei Ha'am El Hashem." That is one pasuk. In Eretz Yisrael, they come and they divide it into three psukim. So that one pasuk that we have in the Torah, they split it up into three different psukim. Okay. So basically, you see that here even that there's a machloket. How do you actually divide the pasuk? So they're dividing the pasuk into three different psukim. Okay? Yeah. So now says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Chama Rabbi Chanina. Says Rabbi Chama Rabbi Chanina, Lo Heshir Moshe Ela Mipsolatan Shaluchot. Somebody asks, how did Moshe Rabbeinu become rich? Because you know how it is. Usually when leaders become rich, the first question is, how did he become rich? Did he become rich from the kuppah? Yeah, that's what people all of a sudden say. How did I remember somebody once said that, right? About, different things about whether, how does he have money? How does he have this? And usually they come and they make up right away. He became rich on cheshbon, the whether it's going to be the kuppah. That's what people usually say. He comes and he says, right? It's not true. He says, you know why? Lo yashir Moshe ela mitzoltan shaluchot. You know how Moshe Rabbeinu become rich? He became rich because of the psolet of the luchot. Meaning, the luchot, when they broke, right? He broke them, right? Now, obviously, he didn't break them, right, because he wanted to keep them. He broke them because of what happened, the story of the Eged. But he was able to keep it. And since he came and he kept it, so because of that, he kept the psolet of the luchot, the broken parts of the luchot. Okay? He says like this. He says, Amar Rabbi Chamar Chanina, Moshe Rabbeinu became rich from the psolet of the luchot. Shneimar b'zez b'suk, psol lecha shnei luchot avnim karishonim, shepsolatan shelcha yeh. Psol lecha, the psolet belongs to you. You understand? The psolet belongs to you. Which one?
Because of the lecha.
Yes. Psol lecha means that psol lecha belongs to you, which means the psolet, once the broken parts, they belong to you, he made a lot of money from that. Because that's a lot of, it was very valuable stone. Okay?
Even if it was just a regular stone.
Exactly. So imagine, this is a special stone. Amar Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina, says Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina, Lo nitra Torah ela leMoshe ulzaro. The Torah was given to Moses and to his children. Shneimar, vayomer Hashem ketov lecha, write for yourself. So lecha, ma'aptoltan shelcha, ha'ktavan shelcha. So Moshe nahag ba tovat ayin tara liYisrael. But Moses came and he had tovat ayin. What did he do? He gave it to Israel. Therefore, the pasuk says, "Tov ayin hu yivorach." What does that mean? The people, they have a good eye. What do you mean good eye? They always give more. Instead of coming and being so stingy, right? They come, they have a good eye. What's a good eye? They come and they want to give more. So I come and I order 1 pound, you give me 2. Yeah, I do You understand? Tov Ayin, Hu Yevorach, he's going to become blessed. Right?
If you ask the rabbi for 1 hour class, he gives you 2.
Exactly.
Wow.
You give him extra. So all of a sudden, the rabbi is only supposed to get. All of a sudden, you ask him, you know what, Rabbi, give us also Daf Yomi, give us also this. Yeah. Boom, you give him, you give. Right? That's the way it is. So it says not like this. So it says that Moshe Rabbeinu had a good eye. Why did he have a good eye? Even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Torah to who? To him. Right? Still, he gave it to Am Yisrael. He wanted to have a good eye. He didn't want to only keep it for himself. Right? You have a good thing. Don't just keep it for yourself. Share. Right? Share the knowledge. Right? Share the wealth. Share. That's what you have to do. Mati Rav Chasta. Rav Chasta comes and he asks the following question. That you told me, that you commanded me to teach you guys. So he comes and he says, right? What does it mean? How could you come and you tell me that it's written, Moshe Rabbeinu was told, teach Bnei Yisrael? Because Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he says in Devarim, Parashat Devarim, yeah, he comes and he says, Hashem commanded me at that time to teach you. So how do you tell me that the Torah was only given? 1 second. So how can you come in the Torah? Chukim Mishpatim, זה לא רק ספר דברים. זה כל התורה כולה. So therefore, if right now, right? Are you guys listening? If right now a person is obligated to come, and how do you tell me that Moshe Rabbeinu was only given for himself? It says, "Ve'oti tzivah Hashem lelamed otchem," to teach you guys. So answers the Gemara, "Ve'oti tzivah v'ani lachem." He commanded me, right, in the Chukim Mishpatim, but I gave it from my own accord. I came and I wanted to teach you guys. I had such a beautiful present that I wanted that every single Jew should have the Torah. That's the Tov Ayin Hu Yevorach. You see, a person that has a good eye. Yeah. So says the Gemara, "Limanti etchem Chukim Mishpatim kasher tzivani Hashem Elokai." There also in Devarim it says, "Look, I've taught you Chukim Mishpatim just like Hashem, my God, commanded me." So again, the same thing. So he says the same thing. Oti tzivah v'ani lachem. He commanded me, and I gave it over to you. Ve'ata kitvu lachem et hashira hazot v'lamedah et bnei Yisrael tzima b'fihem. Now he comes and he says, this is towards the end of the Torah, where it says, and now you're going to write this beautiful song, right? And you're going to teach it to bnei Yisrael tzima b'fihem. So answers the Gemara, shira lechuda. No, only shirat ha'azinu Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to give over. So there's a special thing in shirat ha'azinu. Hazinu Hashemayim Adabera. There he says, "Ve'ata kitvu lachem et hashira hazot." They have to write it for you, so that's for all of Am Yisrael.
From here we learned that the shira, the kriyat of the shira is the Doraita. Is a machloket.
No, not the Doraita. The Bashirat Hazinu was written to give over to us, right? It was written to give over to us. The only one which is a reading Doraita is only Zachor, and there's a machloket by Para. Maran Omer is also Para, but the Mishabra says no. But the Maran does bring down Para.
But here is Mekorash that is bringing that.
No, it says Kitvu Lachem. Where does it say that you have to say it? Kitvu Lachem. Kitvu Lachem. You have to be written down. Yeah, 100%. Writing it down, yes. There's 2 different halachot. You have a halachot writing it. So then he comes and he says, 1 second, but Pasuk comes and it says that the kavanah is only to Shirat Hazinu only, right? Why? Because he comes and he says, so the Shira is Kol HaTorah Kula. But when it says, Leman tiye li hashira hazot, le'ed v'ivnei, he says, it's not only just Shirat Hazinu, it's the entire Torah, right? That's what coming and saying, no, the entire Torah is only one thing. No, the entire Kol HaTorah Kula. Nachon? So he says, Ela pilpula be'alma. Really, be'emet, right? Rabbi Yosef Chanim was only talking about pilpul, but the HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave that to Moshe to understand davar mitoch davar, which is pilpul. So therefore he came and he gave that to Moshe, and Moshe came and he gave the Tovatayin and he gave that pilpula be'alma to Am Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Ena HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashesh kinato el al gibor ashir hacham anav v'kulan mi-Moshe. What does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to place a Shekhinah only in a person that he's strong, that he's going to be ashir, he's going to be a haham, so he has to be rich, affluent, right? Strong, he has to be wise, he has to be anav. V'kulan mi-Moshe, and all of them they learn from Moshe Rabbeinu. Now we think that this means physically, right? Physical attributes. All these things are all spiritual. What? Well, 1 second, right? By the way, some people say that the wealth is also not physically, that it could be also spiritual. Let's see. Gibor dichtiv Gibor dichtiv vayifros et ha'ohel ala mishkan. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to place the oil on the mishkan. Moshe Rabbeinu braso. Uchtiv, and it's written Eser Amot Orechel, which means that Mamash Moshe Rabbeinu, that he was 10 amot high. He went and he picked up by himself the Idiot Izim to put it on top, which means that if Moshe Rabbeinu was that, so look how strong he was. He was a Gabor. He was a Mamash. He was a Gibor. Huh?
So that is
Yeah, 100%. But they also learned that it's not only thing. So Asa Gemara Ema Darich V'Katim. Says 1 second, maybe it wasn't. It was Gavoa, but it was very but he was Bemet Katan, right? It was Katan. He was Bekoach. So he says, no, you're right. There's another pasuk. There's another pasuk. Tichtiv vayitpos b'shnei haluchot v'ashlichem, right? Me'al shtei yadav v'shabrem. He came and he took the luchot. He says the luchot were 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim. Ovyan was 3 tfachim. Every tefach is how many centimeters? Tefach is 8 centimeters. So therefore, if it's going to be 6, so it's 48 centimeters by 48 centimeters and thickness, which is the Ramah, right? by half of that. So it's 48 by 48 by 24. Yeah. Now he comes and he says, obviously, if he was able to throw it down, the chozek, right? No. He threw it down. It wasn't just something that he let go. Again, there's a big difference, right? So therefore, he comes and he says, from the fact that, so therefore that shows you that Be'emet, he was, here it says, it was from San Pirnon. Right, San Pirnon is the type of the stone. You remember the type of the stone, which actually is very, very heavy stone, very hard to break. Also, he says over here. It says here the mishkal was 40 se'ah. Right, we're talking about a huge, like meaning very heavy. Right, it's very, very, very heavy. You understand? We're not talking about something very, very light. Ashir. How do we know he was Ashir? Solecha. Psolet shelcha yeh. The psolet belongs to you. Chacham. Rav Ushua Dam Nitavayu 50 Sharei Bina Nivru B'olam. There are 50 gates of in the world. Everything was given over to Moshe except for one. You're only lacking a little bit from God. What do you mean a little bit? You didn't get the 50th Sharei Bina, but you had the 49th. So you see from here that we learn from Moshe Rabbeinu that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Masher Shechina on people, that they have all these qualities. Okay? Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So even though we just said that there are some people that they come and they explain, right, that it's going on, how do you call it, on the physical, right, it's also on the spiritual as well. So he comes and he says over here, right, as follows. So by the way, it's the Rambam that I just said in Shmone Prakim. He says, "Kol navi lo nave leachar sheyu lo kol ma'alot hasichliot v'rov ma'alot hamidot v'achzakot shbein." V'hu omram en nevuah shora lechacham gibor v'yeshid. Chacham hu kolel kol ma'alot bli safek. Ashir hu mima'alat hamidot ratza lomar histapkut. Histapkut b'muat, yeah? Histapkut. V'hu omram begeder ha'ishir. Ezu shir sameach bechelko. Right? And then he says also gibor. Right? V'hu mezi gibor ha'kavesh et yitzro. Aval b'drashat Aran. He's asking on the Rambam that he says, 1 second, from our Pirushim, from our Gemara, it's mashma that it's all the physical, but really, Be'emet, from the Rambam, it's also spiritual. Ata shomea? Let's go. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Kol HaNevi'im Ashirim ayu. All the Nevi'im were also Ashirim. And Alan, how do we know? Moshe, Shemuel, Amos, Yonah. From Moshe, Shemuel, Amos, Yonah, they were all Ashirim. So you see, all the Nevi'im were rich. Right? You want to be a Navi, you have to become rich. That's number one. Moshe dichtiv lo chamor echamem nasati. I never had to take any chamor from them. Why you think I'm going to take a chamor? I've got a Rolls Royce. I'm going to take a chamor. He doesn't need all these things, right? He comes and he says, "Ibla agra." If Moshe Rabbeinu had a kavanah that he wasn't going to take reward, la pukemay deshakil below agra. Right? He's coming to come and to take something out from somebody that he says he's not going to come and he's going to pay, and he's going to rent something else. He's not going to pay. He's a gadlan. Elama. He never wanted to do anything. He never wanted anything from anybody. Why? He doesn't need. He had so much money. He doesn't need. Well, you're going to start giving me money. I don't need it. But even if it was going to be for reward, he didn't want to do it. He preferred doing it for free. Yeah? So says the Gemara, Dilma Moshe de Ani Hava. Maybe Be'emet, he was an Ani. Right? And that's why they didn't come and he didn't have money to start paying back. You're right. They learn it from Solecha. Shmuel Dichtiv, Hineni anu bi נגד השם ונגד משיחו, את שור מי לקחתי וחמור מי לקחתי בחינם לפוקה, מן דשקה בחינם, אלא דאפילו בשכר. So here the same thing. He wasn't even socher a shor or chamor at all, even to pay with it. Why? Because since he had so much money, he had so many shvarim and chamorim and everything, he never had to rent anything from anybody. He had so much. So Shmuel HaNavi was very, very rich. And at the end of his 40 years of reign, he went and he said, if somebody could tell me that I took something, I didn't take anything. Right? So ask the Gemara, Dilma Daniava, maybe Bemet it was an ani. And Me'achav, it says in another pasuk, Utshuvato haramata ki sham beto. What does that mean? He used to bring a tent, right, with everything that he needed, every single place, because he never wanted to benefit from anything. So every place he was going, he was traveling, he traveled with the entire thing, right? Like the RVs, no, his entire house. He was taking everything with him. He never needed anything. He had everything that he had always with him. That's what he had. Amar Rava says, Gadol ma shenema b'Shmuel, yotem ma shenema b'Moshe. Do you know it's greater that which was written by Shmuel HaNavi? That was written by Moshe Rabbeinu. Because by Moshe Rabbeinu, it's written, Lo chamor echamem nasati. I didn't take any chamor, afilu b'schar, not even paying for it. Shmuel afilu b'ratzon, lo secharo. It says, but by Shmuel HaNavi, which was even greater, even b'ratzon of Baalim, even if the Baalim wanted to give it to him, he didn't want to take it. I didn't want to take it. Which means even that they wanted to put pressure on me to take it, I didn't want to take it. Moshe Rabbeinu just said, okay, I was so careful, I didn't want to take anything from them. He said, no, even when they were putting pressure on me, that they wanted to give it to me, I don't want it. I don't want it. דכתיב ויען עמוס ויאמר למציע לא נביא אנוכי ולא בן נביא אנוכי כי בוקר אנוכי ובולש שקמים. What does that mean? He comes and says, just like the Tugum of Yosef, Ari mare get te'ana v'shikmin yudad v'shavta. Which means I've got a lot of mikne bakar. I have a lot of sheep and cattle. V'shikmin v'shvila, and I have, right? He says this is like a roe bakar. It's called a chamar or gamal, right? So he comes and he says bolesh shkamim is a bolesh. That he's looking all these things, he's checking, when to do all these things. So he comes and he says, right? So therefore, obviously, he had a lot of properties. Yonah, dichtiv Yonah, but it's written in the pasuk. Right? He went and he paid for the boat to go down. He paid for everybody. When he went on the boat, he paid for everybody on the boat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he says, Rabbi Romanus, schara shel sfina. Right? It was 4,000 dinare zahav. See? 4,000 golden coins. You paid. Right? Very important. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan says, Moshe lomed Torah mushakha ad shenitna matanot. Do you know at the beginning, Moshe Rabbeinu was actually learning Torah, and he was forgetting it until it was given to him as a matana. It was given as a present. Next, Mishnah, Lamed Chet Amud Aleph. Towards the bottom. Third last line. It says like this: the person that's madid lazunet ishto ve'banav, af al pi shu chayav b'mzonotan, even though he is chayav the mudar is chayav b'mzonotan, he's allowed to come and give them mizonot. Okay, so one more time. I come and I say, I'm not going to have anything to do with you. Right? Okay, fine, not with you. With him. Right? He's the you. Yeah, and then what happens? And then what happens is, right? What happens is, right, he comes and he says, right, like this. He comes and he says, okay, fine. But can I give your wife and children to eat? So now, can I give your wife and children to eat? So now, even though you're chayav to give your own wife and children,
leave them alone.
Right? Exactly, right? But what? You're allowed to come and you're allowed to do it. Yeah. So he comes, he says, but I can't do it for your animals. Ben tmeah, ben Torah. Whether, right, tmeah or Torah. Rabbi Eliezer says, zanat tmeah ben zanat Torah. You can only give the non-kosher animal, but not the kosher animal. Amrulo, what's the difference between the tmeah and Torah? Amar lehu, he says, what does that mean? The difference between a behemah teorah, is that nafsha l'shamayim v'gufa shelo. What does that mean? When it's living, right? The nefesh, right? It goes to the shamayim. What does that mean? En lo l'adam shuma me'ah me'apitum. Right? He comes and he says, right? But nevertheless, when it dies, so then that's what he says, and then you have the goof. That's when you have it, because you're eating the fatty of it. But to do with the behemah tmeah, Lamilchet Amubet, 38b. Nafsha v'gufa l'shamayim. Right? So then what happens? Right? Nafsha v'gufa l'shamayim. So Amrulo, so one more time. So that means basically the Behemat Teorah, you are benefiting from it because when it dies and you eat it, right? Techalta ota. But the Behemat Teorah, you never offend. So therefore everything goes to the Shamayim. So therefore that's why he comes and he says. So therefore he comes and he says the person is not benefiting from it, right? Because it's Asura B'Achila. It's not only it's only for Melacha. So Amrulo, so they went and they told him, he says, one second. You could sell it to a goy. Somebody just said that before. You could sell it to a goy. Who was the one that said it? You could sell it to a goy. You said it. So you could sell it to a goy. What does that mean? You're right. You can't eat it, but you could sell it. And if you sell it to a goy, the fatter that it is, you are benefiting. So what are you telling me? Oh, so that's okay. You could sell it to a goy, or you could give it to your dogs. Right? We're recording. I just said Chazak Baruch. Yeah, you said. Yeah, Mordechai Saban Baramram. He was the one that came and he said, yeah, that if you want, you could sell it. Yeah, you could sell it to a goy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so he comes and he says, now what? Yeah, he comes and he says, what? You could sell it to the goy. So therefore, it is also a benefit. Says the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Hanina Amar Avuna. Says Rabbi Yitzchak bar Hanina bar Avuna. Hamudarana mechavero mutal lasilo bito. Do you know if you're mudarana from a person, but you could still get married to his daughter? Sounds like a good one. Huh?
We saw that before.
Yeah, you could. So Havi better be zera. Somebody, I come and I make a neder. I don't want anything to do with you. You still have to get married to your daughter. Okay. So Havi better be zera. Zera comes and he says, "B'maya skina." What are we dealing with exactly? If you're going to tell me now that the properties of the father of the kala is prohibited on the chatan, right? So 1 second, because at the end of the day now, 1 second, how could it be? Because now he's giving a shivcha to his daughter to come into to use. No, it's the opposite. The chatan, the properties of the chatan is prohibited on the kala. So he comes and he says, we already said. 1 second, if you're allowed to come and you're allowed to give them to eat, even though you're prohibited to, basically he's prohibited to have, benefit from you. Now you're going to tell me now you're allowed to come and get married to the daughter, right? That the second that he gets married to her, he's obligated in. What's a chidush? Meaning like this. Before marriage, what we were talking about, I come and I made a neder against Mr. John Doe. Yeah, and what happened was with Mr. John Doe, what happened is that he's not allowed to benefit from me, but I could give his wife and children to eat. Right. Mutar. If I get married to Mr. John Doe's daughter, what happens now? I'm obligated to give her to eat. So therefore, if I just said 5 minutes ago that I'm allowed to give to the wife and daughter of Mr. John Doe to eat, Kal vachomer, then I can get married to the daughter, and then I'm obligated to give her to eat anyway. So that you already but if you already said even without marriage that you're allowed to give her to eat, Kal vachomer, if you get married to her, then now anyway you're obligated to give her to eat. So now obviously you give her to eat.
We're talking here about the fact that he's getting married to her.
Yes. Said לעולם בנכסי אבי הכלה אסוריים על החתן. Really באמת, right? Really באמת, we're talking about the properties of Avi Kala, which are going to be prohibited on the Chatan. Right? The other way around. That means the father, exactly, the father of the Kala prohibited its properties onto the Chatan. And we're talking about that she's a bogeret, right? Umidata. And it's midata. Therefore, without the permission of the father. So therefore, since the father is not the one that's getting her married, so that's why he's allowed to get married. And we're like John Jack said before, we're not talking about the properties. We're talking because exactly that's why it's a bogeret. That means basically we're talking about the marriage in itself. Now, since she's a bogeret, she doesn't need her father to get her married off. So when she's getting married off, it's on her own dad. Since it's on her own dad, so therefore it's not considered that he's benefiting from the properties of the father of the kalal. You also learned in the right time. So it's not going to be the daughter, but it has to be a daughter which is above the 12 and a half, which is above a bogeret. Bogeret and up.
Where would you put the?
Amar Rabbi Yaakov, says Rabbi Yaakov, somebody comes, he prohibits to himself, right, on himself with a neder to benefit from his son, in order that his son should not serve him and that he could learn Torah. You're allowed to come and fill him up water, right? And la lika tanera la kanerot. Rabbi Yitzchak says you could even have to fry for him a fish, which means Here one more time. The son wants to come and say, Papa, I want to serve you. He says, I don't want you to serve me. I want you to learn Torah. What does he do? He's Madira Namimen. I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want to benefit from you. So what? You're going to be Pano. You can go learn Torah. So what happens now? You're still able to come and fill up for your son a bucket of water, or here's a barrel of water to light for him a candle, in order that it's not going to bring for Bitul Torah, because that wasn't the kavanah. Or Rabbi Yitzchak comes and he says, even Litzol Doda Katan. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, you're allowed to come and you're allowed to even give him a kos shel shalom. What is a kos shel shalom now? Where do you heard such a thing? A kos shel shalom. Did you ever hear such a thing? Kos shel shalom. Yeah, kos shel shalom. So he comes and he says, Hacha targimu. This is what they teach. Kos shel bet avel. Kos shel bet avel is kos shel shalom. Right? What does that mean? A kos shel tanchumim. Kos of tanchumim. That means somebody passed away. Kos shel avel. B'ma'arav they came and they said, right? Kos shel bet hamerchatz. No, it's a kos shel bet hamerchatz. What does that mean? It's tarkeh shalom. Meaning that when they used to come outside of the bet hamerchatz, they used to come and they used to give them something to drink, right? Because basically usually there was a hamam, this, that. No, to drink. So therefore it was a kos shel shalom. Lashkoto, to give him to drink. Right? To give him to drink. Okay? Fine. Velo yazuz et behemto, right? Velo yazun et behemto, ben temea ben torah. Tanya we learned about Yoshua b'ish uza omer, zana v'dav shvichuda b'kanamnim, velo yazun behemto, ben temea ben torah. So he comes and he says over here, it says that he's allowed to give also his avadim or shefachot knanim, but he's not allowed to give the animals. That means basically we added in Adam, now plus Adam equals avadim shefachot knanim. So they're also considered Adam, right? Meaning human beings. Okay? But Behemot, no. My time, what's the reasoning? Right? They are waiting for nechija. What does that mean? When they come and they die, they don't come and they don't eat their flesh. So therefore, there's no hana'ah from the fact that they're getting fatter. Meaning when you come and you take Eved Kanani or whatever it is, you're not going to come in. So but Behema, the pitum of it. Behema is made to be pitum, meaning it's made to become fatter and all these things. So because of that, right, there's going to be a difference between them. Tomorrow we will start the Mishnah on Masechet Amud Bet. Remember that tomorrow we're doing Shabbat stuff.
I think we need him